We were like, is that it? Is that all you're going to say? Hi guys, my name is andiswa.mojapelo and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you stay and you enjoy the content. We talk about all things related to money and adulting in general. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you for your support. We're in a new month now and we are growing. We've just surpassed our 150 subscriber mark. I'm so excited and I'm so grateful for your support, your feedback, sharing the videos and liking them, etc. Really motivates me to get in front of the camera and continue doing this thing. So today's video is going to be a very short one, I think. I tend to go on and on, but it's also very necessary. And I've just been going around and around trying to figure out what is the best way to put this, right? Because I want to talk about why you are probably broke. So if you've been wondering, why am I broke? You've seen by the title of this video, this is probably the reason. You are spending more than you earn. You are living beyond your means. Now, I toyed around, how do I put this in a nice way? How do I sugarcoat it? How do I make it comfortable? And how do I make it land easy? But to be honest, if we're going to make a change and if we're going to improve and do better at this life thing, which is the general idea behind this channel, then we need to be honest, okay? So in my final year, I had a public economics lecture, and someone in the class stood up and asked our lecturer, what is the one piece of advice that you are giving us going into the world, especially into the working world, because most of us were in our final year since it was a final year module. And he turned around and he said, spend less than you earn. Make sure you're living below your means. And we were like, is that it? Is that all you're going to say? And he said just that. He's like, just make sure that at every given point, you are spending less than you earn and you are not living beyond your means. Because if you do, if you fall into that trap of living beyond your means, it's going to start a spiral of debt that is going to get out of control very, very quickly. It's going to stress you out. And he went on and on and on about why it's so important to live below your means. Now, at the time, I thought, this is no brainer information. Like everybody should live below the means. I'm sure everybody does that. And why did he see the need to emphasize it? But going into the industry that I'm in and also having the different interactions that I've had, I've come to realize the importance of this. And I feel like we've said it a lot of times, and a lot of people keep rehearsing the same message. But honestly, not doing this, or rather failing to live below your means, is the reason why you find yourself in financial trouble a lot of times. And it's very important that you are honest with yourself if you are, because that's when you begin to change. Now, someone saying you broke because you're living beyond your means might sound a bit rude, or might come across as like confrontational and all of that, but it's usually the fact and the reality. And I'll tell you why. So if you bring a budget to me and you say, Andiswa, this is how much I earn. I earn 10,000 Rand, and honestly, I can't survive. And I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just paying my debts, and I'm paying for the fundamentals that I have, or rather, I'm paying for the basics that I need to pay for. Now, my first thing is that if there's debt repayments, then you probably were buying things you didn't afford with cash, right? And that's the reality. And yes, there may be a good reason behind why you made the purchase, but the point is that you didn't have the money for it and you decided to buy it anyway. And now that you've bought it anyway, or you've spent money that you didn't have, you now have a debt repayment that's eroding at your income and that's eating at your income. That is the first thing, right? That's one of the first side effects of actually living beyond your means, is that you start finding other resources or ways to fund living beyond your means. And that's when you get into the debt trap, which erodes at your income essentially. The second thing is that if you look at your budget and you say that you've done everything that you can, you're only paying for basics, but you're still broke, then you can't afford your basics. And what I mean by that is you possibly can't afford the property that you're living in. You possibly can't afford the car that you're driving. You possibly can't afford the entertainment budget that you have. Or if you don't have entertainment and you have something else, that is the reality. And unfortunately, until you face the facts that maybe at some point you could afford that car installment, and at some point you could afford that rent amount and that apartment, you can't any longer. And it's eating away at you. It is causing you stress and it's causing you to be broke. And you need to start re-looking at those items, because spending beyond your means starts creating that effect of I don't have anything at the end of the month, and then I have to borrow some more, and then I have to borrow some more to pay what I've borrowed. And it goes on and on and on until you start realizing that some of the financial decisions that you would have taken and some of the commitments in terms of expenses that you had when you did have money and when things were a bit better, you can't sustain them anymore. And until you realize that and you start changing them one by one, they're going to start a spiral of things going out of control. And you're going to be miserable and stressed because it's payday, you're getting an income, but you don't feel like it's going anywhere. It's a difficult thing to think about because maybe you've had the car for years, and maybe you've had the property for years, or maybe you've been renting in a specific apartment and you've had a specific lifestyle. Maybe you do your nails in a certain place and you do your hair in a certain place, and you feel like you can't let go of those things. But those things are now beyond your means. And unless you try and change them, the situation is not going to change, right? And this is a conversation I've been afraid to have. But again, I feel like for the people who really want to change their situation and for the people who really want to start living a different lifestyle or living a lifestyle that is more financially comfortable, they will appreciate the honesty in me saying, look, you had a specific budget, you had a specific lifestyle, things changed for some reason or the other, and now you can't sustain it. And now you need to understand the trade off of trying to live up to that lifestyle versus sacrificing it, trading it off for comfort, for ease of mind, for paying off debt, for living comfortably, and for being happier. Those are some of the decisions that you need to look at having. And interestingly enough, right, why I also thought it was very important to have this conversation is because I was chatting to a friend of mine about like why is it so difficult for us to like stay at home when we don't have money or to not buy things when we don't have money? Why does it feel like it's a difficult decision to make to deprive ourselves? Surely, if we don't have the money, it should be easy not to buy these things. And he said something to me that was very interesting. He said to me, it's because we don't have a sense of zero. And I was like, we don't have a sense of zero? What do you mean? He's like, it's because we are at a point in our lives where even when we spend everything we have, there's still an option to get more. So we can go below zero. We can go to minus 10 and we can go minus 100 and minus 1,000. And we can borrow and borrow and borrow to sustain a lifestyle that we can't afford. And that's why we're in trouble. And I thought to myself, gosh, I've never looked at it that way, because I've always thought, well, if I can't afford to go out, then I just won't go out. And he's like, that's the thing. You can't afford to go out, but there are options to go out even when you can't afford it. And that's why this notion of learning to live below your means is so important, guys, because there's options out there that allow you to actually live beyond your means. We need to take it upon ourselves to have that discipline. We need to take it upon ourselves to be like, yes, the car dealership is telling me that I can afford an installment of 5,000 Rand a month, even though I earn 10,000 Rand a month. I'm making a wild example. But even though that's the case, it is on you and it is up to you to say, look, I can't live on half my income after paying for a car. So I need to make sure that I make a wise decision that makes the most sense for my finances. So the essence here, guys, is that if we fail to get anything right when it comes to our finances, let's strive by all means possible to spend less than what we have. And spending less than what we have is going to allow us to have a little left over in order to put towards the things that we want to save for, right? And if we struggle there, and if it's really, really tough and you can't have a little left over, then at least spend only what you have and not more than that. If you enjoyed this video and you found it insightful, please don't forget to give me a huge thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so I can see you in the next one. Bye.